Do you agree with my assessment that America's sons and daughters can find them if we lose this thing and Kamala Harris wins? What do you think? You think we'll
Yeah,
be on the
well,
ground?
there are 19,000 North Korean troops in Russia and Ukraine today. So yes, the other side in that particular war is staffing up, as it were. So we can get into that in a little bit. But the point is, the world is an extraordinarily dangerous place, extraordinarily. And we know right now that this country is $200 billion plus dollars into this war in Ukraine. Do you think that Kamala Harris is going to walk away from that when she and her party are neck deep in it? No, they're not going to walk away from that. You and I have talked about that this before. All right, if we are into this war, who's the we? It's not. It's not going to be Liz Cheney, which was Trump's point.
Right.
It's not going to be Kamala Harris and her crazy stepdaughter. Okay, it's not going to be the elites and their children. It's going to be guys like you and I, and it's going to be gals out there who might be watching this show, and our nieces and nephews and sons and daughters and grandkids. Those are the folks who have to end up dying for these wars. We both know this. Iraq and Afghanistan are not some strange places to you and I. So that's the bottom line. The world is afire because of the last 4 years, and Ms. Harris is going to just continue what we've already seen in places like Ukraine.
So, Brian, what you've seen a lot of the news, you've seen a lot of the polls, you've seen, Kamala Harris rallies. I mean, they're not even really rallies. They're kind of concerts that she appears at where there's some musical act. Sometimes they sing, sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
And
where Beyonce doesn't sing. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, you know what's crazy? I heard from people that went to that thing and they were pissed that she did not sing. So like, apparently they were led to believe that she was supposed to sing at this thing and then just goes and gives like a 3-minute speech on abortion, and everyone got super pissed.
Yeah. Well, oops. Well, paid for. Thanks, Kamala.
And then in Arizona, I think last night you had Trump, you had RFK, you had Tucker, and it looked like there were well over 10,000 people at this rally. And it seems to me, you've got this America First movement, this coalition, this broad coalition of Democrats, independents, Black, white, Christian, atheist, Muslim, all galvanizing behind Donald Trump, right? And his movement is real, is my point.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, she seems as astroturf as any campaign that I've ever seen, and it seems like the media is really running her campaign for her.
Yeah.
And you have Donald Trump in Dearborn, Michigan today. He's the first Republican ever to go there to rally Muslim support in Michigan. Where this is the craziest election cycle ever.
Yeah, and let's underline this point about violence, because we're now hearing this with Liz Cheney. Let's just pause for a moment. Less than 2 or 3 days ago, we heard Joe Biden call half of America garbage. What do you do with garbage? All right, you don't treat it kindly. That's the whole point. So we are creating an atmosphere in this country that we've seen for months now about calling Mr. Trump and his supporters fascists and Nazis and insurrectionists, irrespective of truth or facts. So I'm really fatigued with this conversation about, one side and only one side having terrible rhetoric that's violent. We all know what Trump was talking about regarding Liz Cheney and her family, who uniquely are responsible, by the way. The Cheneys are uniquely responsible for millions of dead people, mostly in the Middle East, but also other places, certainly our own men and women in uniform. But I want to just make sure we're all putting this collectively into our minds as we think about violence in this country. We don't want it. We want to dial back the rhetoric. J.D. Vance has been very lovely in making that argument. But if we're going to have that conversation, then we all really should dial back the rhetoric to include not calling people garbage. You want to incinerate garbage or do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, we all know where that goes. So let's just be super clear on the rhetoric. What James Carville last week, talking about that he was encouraging his fellow Democrats to fight and to fight as though you were World War II veterans, going out into slitting the throats were the words that he used, slitting the throats like an American soldier facing someone in Japan or a Nazi, etc. So yeah, rhetoric's a problem. It's too hot right now, but it's not as though Liz Cheney wasn't a part of creating that problem.